You're talking to people, asking questions, finding out what they're thinking. And what are they telling you they want from the two of you?
Well, I am traveling the country, and let's start with the women of America. And they then thank our administration for some of the work we've been doing, standing for fundamental rights, like the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. If she chooses, she will talk with her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government telling her what to do.
So this was fascinating. I will say it was one of her better interviews. You just saw it. She brought up abortion again and again and again. Even when she was given low-hanging fruit, she was asked about January 6th and 91 indictments against Trump. She pivoted right back to abortion because she knows what is true, which is the GOP has lost every single abortion ballot initiative post-Roe, every single one. Because what Kamala is doing, right or wrong, is very powerful among young women.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
No, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is Fox News propagandist and former Trump White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany discussing just how powerful Vice President Harris's speech was during her appearance on The View.
Year of our Lord 2024? The government should not be telling women what to do with their bodies. And so it's that basic. And
Kamala Harris was asked during said interview about what voters have told her they want from the Biden-Harris ticket in 2024. And not only was her answer compelling, it sent shockwaves into the Fox News studio.
I am traveling the country, and let's start with the women of America. What they are telling me in state after state is that they are concerned about the future of our country. Many of us often think about the future of our country in the context of our children. And so they talk about their concern that if their daughter is going to college, will she go to a state where she will have access to the health care she might need, including reproductive health? They talk about the prayer that many will speak and say as they drop their children off at school because of their fear that there may be somebody with an assault weapon at some time during that school day. They talk about the concern that they have about whether their children, if they go to college, will be able to pay off their student loan debt. And they then thank our administration for some of the work we've been doing, standing for fundamental rights, like the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. The need to have reasonable gun safety laws and stand for the idea, as I do. I support the Second Amendment, but there's no reason that we have assault weapons in a civil society, and we need to ban them. They talk about the fact that our administration, because of the President Joe Biden and our administration, has tackled the issue of student loan debt and have now forgiven student loan debt for over 3.5 million Americans. If she chooses, she will talk with her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government telling her what to do. We are not asking anyone to abandon their personal beliefs.
Right.
It's just that the government should not, and in this year of our Lord 2024, the government should not be telling women what to do with their bodies.
So this was fascinating, and I'll get to abortion in just a moment, but I disagreed with almost everything she said in this interview. I will say it was one of her better interviews when it came to style. She's been clearly doing some sort of media training, and she's been deployed to hit three buckets. Progressives, where she has more credibility than Joe Biden. She did that today. She talked about Israel and Gaza. Young people, she's been going to campuses. She hit that today in this interview. She talked about, she literally said, I love Gen Z. I love Gen Z, kept bringing up student loans. And then women. She's on a show whose audience is mainly women. You just saw it. She brought up abortion again and again and again. Even when she was given low-hanging fruit, she was asked about January 6th and 91 indictments against Trump. She pivoted right back to abortion because she knows what is true, which is the GOP has lost every single abortion ballot initiative post-Roe, every single one. Ohio, Kansas, not only that, record turnout, Vox, More Kansas voted on abortion referendum than in any primary election in Kansas history. New York Times, twice as many people voted on Ohio measure that cast ballots in primaries for governor, Senate, and House. She knows abortion ballot initiatives will be on 10 states at least and swing states. So she wants to drive young women to the polls. This is why I've implored the GOP, as someone who is pro-life myself and adamantly so, speak from a place of compassion, which I've been watching Governor Ron DeSantis. He talks about hearing his daughter's heartbeat. And not only that, speak to be pro-mother, not just pro-baby, pro-mother. And Governor DeSantis, his last interview, he said, I made child care products tax-free in the state of Florida. I am going to be an advocate for maternal health care. We as a party must do that, because what Kamala is doing, right or wrong, is very powerful among young women.
And while some would say, better late than never, I'll stick to never. Because there is one thing driving this sudden change of heart, and that is fear.
As far as, it does seem like the Republican Party generally has a real problem with winning.
Kayleigh McEnany has had a front row seat to America's response to her fearless cult leader's efforts to ban abortion across the board.
I did something that nobody thought was possible. I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
And she is right. They have lost every significant election in which abortion is on the ballot.
Gotta say it. It's just the truth. Donald Trump's Republican Party lost in 2017, they lost in 2018, they lost in 2019, they lost in 2020, they lost in 2021. But they got that red wave in 2022 that the media told, oh, no, they didn't. The media was wrong again. They lost in 2022. They've lost in elections in 2023. And my money's on them losing again in 2024.
Said polls do not equal votes.
Yeah. Yes, Harris, that is my number one message to Republicans. We'll get to abortion, next. But number one, a poll can look good for you, but that doesn't mean you're going to be victorious. We've seen this time and time again. Republicans, I would argue, have not had a good night since November of 2021 when Glenn Youngkin won. It's been 2 years since we had a good night in the Republican Party. I think we're clear-eyed about that.
To the point that even the hardest of squareheads are questioning their strategy.
I'm really going to be honest about this, and I consider myself pro-life, but I understand that's not where the country is. I would say first trimester or Dobbs 15 weeks seems to be where the country is, Kayleigh. I want to stay with you on this issue. And these issues will be decided by the states. You talked to the Speaker of the House. I talked to the Speaker of the House. It is not going to be an issue in the House of Representatives. This is not going to be decided any longer in Washington, D.C. The states will decide.
And while Kayleigh may be heaping praise on the Vice President for zoning in on this issue, one in which the majority of Americans have voiced their outrage over, her Republican frontrunner is not only taking credit for overturning Roe, he's doubling and tripling down, hence why voters are voicing their concern about the war on women and what it would look like under a Trump second term.
Because for 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it. And I'm proud to have done it.
Eyes on the governor races in Kentucky and Mississippi.
Well, that was all a shock. They did have the House, and they lost both. So
well, Virginia's Governor Glenn Youngkin had been telling voters they could have a 15-week abortion ban if they just gave Republicans unified control of the legislature. And voters yesterday did the opposite. Republicans did not flip the Senate, and they lost the House of Delegates. This is potentially lethal to this theory that Youngkin could ride a red wave in Richmond to a last-minute presidential campaign as a dark horse Trump alternative in 2024. It was also a big motivator in another state that has trended red lately, Ohio, where voters turned out to protect abortion in the state's constitution. They also voted there to legalize recreational pot.
But the thing is, you know what it would look like. Free reign for conservative zealots to strip away a woman's right to choose. Instances like Kate Cox's in Texas would be an everyday occurrence.
Of a child. There's no outcome here that I take home my healthy baby girl, so it's hard, just, grief. I think forcing me to continue the pregnancy and the pain and suffering put me through the risks of continuing the pregnancy, the risks of childbirth, again, especially given how my last two went, I think it's cruel. And
the difference between both political parties is this is not me fear-mongering. This is actually foreshadowing. We have already seen Donald Trump's America in action, and how a Supreme Court stacked in his favor have stripped away decade-old legislation to appease him. And yet people are still a wee bit worried about Biden's age, which, by the way, side note, if Biden is in, quote, cognitive decline, what the hell do you call this?
But we're also going to place strong protections to stop banks and regulators from trying to debank you from your political beliefs, what they do. They want to debank you, and we're going to debank. Think of this. They want to take away your rights. They want to take away your country. The things you're doing, all electric cars, give me a break. If you want an electric car, good, but they don't go far. They're very expensive. They're going to be made.
And this is why we need more of this from Kamala Harris, because there are few better at getting this message across.
Starting January 22nd, which is the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, I'm starting a tour on fighting for our reproductive freedom.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.